Sherry was protected by reinforced windows on a state-of-the-art expedition ship. Drake Passage killed her anyway. 3 seconds flat. She never had a chance. November 29th, 2022. The Viking Polaris, a vessel built to survive Antarctica, was hit by a rogue wave that shattered windows found to be inadequately designed for these conditions. Sherry Zhu died from the impact, on a ship designed specifically for these waters. This is the same passage that's killed 20,000 sailors and destroyed 800 ships. But here's what nobody tells you. Drake Passage moves more water than 700 Amazon rivers combined. Every single second. We thought modern technology had beaten nature. GPS navigation, ice-strengthened hulls stronger than tank armor, weather satellites. But Drake Passage just proved that some forces on Earth will never be conquered. 644 people were lost with the San Telmo. 6 men sailed 800 miles to South Georgia in a 22-foot boat. And this unconquerable killer? It's secretly keeping our entire planet alive. This is Drake Passage, the 600-mile gap between South America and Antarctica, where physics creates the most violent waters on Earth. What you're about to discover will change how you see the ocean forever. Because Sherry's death proves a truth we've forgotten. The ocean doesn't negotiate. It conquers. Picture this. You're standing at Cape Horn, staring across 600 miles of open ocean toward Antarctica. At your feet, a memorial to 20,000 sailors who challenged these waters and lost. This is Drake Passage. It's not a wall, not a gate, just open ocean. But this ocean doesn't welcome visitors. It tests them, and most fail that test. Here's the twisted part. Sir Francis Drake never intended to discover it. In 1578, a violent storm blew his ship so far south that one of his vessels, the Marigold, vanished with all hands, among the passage's early documented victims. But the real discovery? That came in 1525, when Spanish navigator Francisco de Hoces got blown south and spotted what seemed impossible. Endless open water. South America wasn't connected to any southern continent. The passage sits where massive ocean systems converge: Atlantic, Pacific, and Southern Ocean waters. When enormous volumes of water try to squeeze through a 600-mile gap, physics creates a maritime nightmare. Sherry thought modern technology had changed the rules. She boarded the Viking Polaris in November 2022. State-of-the-art expedition ship, ice-strengthened hull, GPS navigation. Crew who'd made this crossing dozens of times. The ocean had other plans. Marine scientists report something incredible. This passage is one of the few places on Earth where ocean water flows completely around the globe without hitting land. This creates the Antarctic Circumpolar current, a force moving more water than all Earth's rivers combined. A force that makes hurricanes look gentle. But before we dive deeper into this aquatic graveyard, let me ask you something. What's the most dangerous situation you've ever faced? Because I guarantee you, by the end of this story, that's gonna seem like child's play. The Drake doesn't negotiate. It conquers. To understand why this passage destroys ships, you need to understand what makes it unique on Earth. This isn't just rough water. This is a geographical anomaly that creates the most violent ocean conditions on the planet. Here's the science that kills. The passage generates the Antarctic Circumpolar current. That unstoppable force carrying between 134 and 173 million cubic meters of water per second through the passage. Imagine that crushing flow squeezing through a 600-mile gap. Every single second. That's the force moving 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, with nowhere to go but through ships. And when that unstoppable current meets the 4,000-meter deep underwater mountains of the Scotia Ridge, physics creates extraordinary violence. The result? Maritime authorities document rogue waves that tower higher than 6-story buildings. Meteorologists confirm winds that regularly exceed the speed of race cars. And something sailors call the screaming 60s, the latitude where even experienced mariners pray for mercy. But here's what makes this passage truly unconquerable. These forces don't work alone. Navigation experts document that the complex underwater topography creates sudden, violent upwellings of water that appear without warning. A ship can be sailing in relatively calm seas one moment and facing a wall of water taller than an apartment building the next. Hold on. Did I just say walls of water that could swallow entire city blocks? And this isn't during storms. Meteorologists report these can be normal Tuesday afternoon conditions. The Drake doesn't need storms to kill. It kills on calm days. For centuries, ships have challenged these waters. Some survive, most don't. Let me tell you about the ones that learned why the ocean always wins. In 1741, the British ship HMS Wager attempted to round Cape Horn with 120 souls aboard. According to historical records, the ship got separated from its squadron in weather that turned men into animals. Pounded by building-sized waves and driven by winds stronger than hurricanes, the ship was hurled onto the rocky coast of Chile like a toy. But the real horror was just beginning. Stranded in a landscape more hostile than Mars, the crew descended into madness. Discipline collapsed. Men fought over scraps of food with the desperation of wild beasts. What followed wasn't just survival. It was open warfare between humans pushed beyond their breaking point. Of the 120 men who had departed England, only 10 would eventually make it home. The passage didn't just destroy their ship, it destroyed their humanity. But these waters were warming up. The masterpiece? The San Telmo. 120 men reduced to 10. That's not a shipwreck, that's a massacre. And an even deadlier surprise was waiting. The Spanish ship San Telmo was a 74-gun naval vessel, a floating fortress designed to survive anything the ocean could throw at it. On September 2, 1819, it was last seen near the South Shetland Islands, carrying 644 crew members toward what they thought was just another routine crossing. 644 men. That's more passengers than the Titanic carried in first class. They thought wrong. This would be no routine crossing. According to historical reports, the ship vanished in severe weather in the freezing Southern Ocean. All 644 souls aboard. More than 2 fully loaded Boeing 747s. The passage had swallowed an entire floating city. This single catastrophe killed more people than most modern natural disasters, and it happened to one ship that thought it could conquer the unconquerable. But perhaps the most haunting story comes from 1897, when the Belgian research vessel Belgica crossed the passage and got trapped in pack ice. What began as a scientific expedition quickly turned into a descent into madness. As the polar night set in and the sun vanished for months, the crew began losing their minds in deadly Antarctic cold. 2 members died. The rest battled scurvy, frostbite, and complete psychological breakdown in temperatures that froze human breath. Dr. Frederick Cook later wrote about watching strong men weep like children, talk to imaginary companions, and plan elaborate escapes into the endless ice. The passage had tested them physically. The Antarctic winter was testing their sanity. Using hand saws, picks, and explosives, the exhausted crew spent weeks carving a channel through over a mile of solid ice. These waters had claimed 2 lives and nearly destroyed the minds of the survivors. The ocean writes the rules. Humans just try to survive them. But then came a man who refused to accept that these waters were unconquerable. In 1914, Sir Ernest Shackleton and 27 men set sail aboard the Endurance to attempt the first land crossing of Antarctica. The passage had other plans. According to expedition records, in January 1915, their ship became trapped in pack ice that slowly crushed their vessel like a tin can. For months, they watched their lifeline to civilization being destroyed, piece by piece. On November 21, 1915, the Endurance finally sank, stranding the crew on ice in lethal, freezing conditions. Surviving on seal and penguin meat, they eventually escaped to the desolate Elephant Island. But they were still 800 miles from rescue, surrounded by waters as treacherous as those that had killed 644 men on the San Telmo. Then Shackleton did something that defied all logic. He decided to sail across the Scotia Sea to South Georgia in a boat just 22 feet long. Shackleton and 5 men launched the James Caird into waters that had swallowed warships. No engine, no radar, no satellite weather. Just a compass, raw determination, and the absolute refusal to let the ocean win. For 16 days they battled massive waves, temperatures that froze their breath, and winds that could flip their boat like a coin. Maritime experts today call it the most extraordinary feat in navigation history. Wait, let me get this straight. 6 men in a 22-foot boat, barely longer than a pickup truck, successfully crossed 800 miles of the most violent waters near Antarctica. How's that even possible? The answer reveals something profound about the passage's nature. It doesn't just test ships. It tests the human spirit. Shackleton's crew had something the San Telmo didn't. They'd already survived the impossible and refused to accept that anything was unconquerable. Astonishingly, Shackleton secured help and returned to rescue every single man. Not one death, despite more than 500 days stranded in conditions that should have killed them all. For once, humans had refused to let the Drake conquer them. But these waters continue to remind us that technology changes nothing. Today, thousands of tourists attempt to cross Drake Passage every year. Most depart from Ushuaia, Argentina, the southernmost city in the world. If the weather's calm, passengers call it the Drake Lake. If it's rough, and it usually is, They call it the Drake Shake. Modern vessels are technological marvels compared to wooden ships. Advanced hull designs, engines more powerful than locomotives, and stabilizers that can counteract building-sized waves have transformed the crossing from near-certain death to manageable risk. But the passage still doesn't care about human technology. On November 29, 2022, the Viking Polaris was struck by a rogue wave taller than a 5-story building. According to official reports, the wave shattered windows that investigators later found were inadequately designed for these conditions, injured 4 people, and killed Sherry. This wasn't some 18th century wooden ship. This was a modern expedition vessel, built specifically for polar conditions. Ice-strengthened hull built to polar-class standards, designed to withstand floating ice and polar conditions. Navigation equipment that could guide missiles. Crew with decades of experience. The experienced bridge crew, trained in polar navigation and rough water operations, had crossed these waters many times before. They understood the truth. We have to choose the best time to cross the Drake. We have to adapt our course. We are extremely cautious. The ocean is stronger than us. Even today, icebergs larger than entire cities break away from Antarctica and drift into the passage. In 2021, iceberg A76, merely 3 times the size of London, drifted 2,000 kilometers into these waters before breaking apart. The passage continues to test every ship, every crew, every passenger who dares to cross. Some pass, some don't. But the ocean always has the final word. At what point do we admit that some places on Earth will never be conquered? Drake Passage has tested humanity for centuries. Over 800 ships have failed that test. More than 20,000 sailors never made it across. And it continues to test us today, reminding us of a truth we've forgotten in our climate-controlled, GPS-guided world. But here's what's remarkable about this unconquerable place. The same forces that make it deadly also make it essential. That crushing current doesn't just create ship-killing waves. It regulates our planet's climate. The violent mixing of waters contributes to the oxygen production that sustains life. The passage that kills also helps sustain all life on Earth. This is nature's ultimate paradox. The things that threaten us are often the things that keep us alive. These waters remind us that for all our technology, all our confidence, all our attempts to control the natural world, we're still small, fragile creatures in a universe of forces beyond our comprehension. And perhaps that's exactly what we need to remember. The passage forces us to confront our limitations. It humbles our arrogance. It reminds us that some places on Earth will never submit to human will, will never be conquered, will never be tamed. At Cape Horn stands that simple monument to 20,000 sailors who challenged the unconquerable and lost. It's a reminder that these waters don't just test ships. They test the human spirit. Some pass, some don't. But everyone who crosses is forever changed by the encounter. Drake Passage proves that some places on Earth still demand respect, still test our limits, and still remind us of our place in the natural order. It's both killer and life-giver, destroyer and creator. The ultimate reminder that nature writes the rules, and we are not in charge. No one conquers the Drake. The Drake conquers you. And maybe, in a world where we think we can control everything, that's exactly what we need to remember. The ocean is stronger than us. Always has been. Always will be. Sherry died in 2022 on a modern expedition ship. Through inadequately designed windows, the passage has killed 20,000 sailors, and it's not done yet. Because here's the thing. It moves 700 Amazon rivers worth of water. Every single second. Forever.